time we are getting them very easily. Even in Adamas University, we got one Nobel laureate. We are very fortunate to meet him in webinar from chemistry department. He got the Nobel Prize in 1987, na sir? 85 or 87?
Yes, 87.
87. We met him. This time we are getting them very easily. Even in Adamas University, we got one Nobel laureate.
Nobel laureates are always, ready to come. But the problem is these all logistics, travel, and all. So they love to talk to people, but this is a new web thing, which has really given them an opportunity to really go and talk to people at length. This is fantastic.
Maybe it is because webinar he said okay. Otherwise, in case of conference, it would be difficult to get him in person.
Yeah, it is very difficult because traveling takes a lot of toll on you. It's not easy. And for this is a web thing, So currently the institute is closed right now. You don't have any classes, correct?
Class is closed, but institute is open since 2nd June. The faculty members are going in a roster form. Some faculties are going in the day basis by following the rule of 70% attendance.
Okay.
But classes are not going on. It is suspended till 30th.
So any development on the examination side for the final years and all?
From already examination started. Practical examination, we already get the routine. So it has been already started from in our university. It is going on.
Oh, so and that is only for the final years, right?
For all semesters.
For all semesters. Oh, that's
all semesters.
Okay, that's pretty good. Because I have just learned that Maharashtra has already, abandoned the whole thing, and now Delhi University is also saying that there will be no examinations. So it is very difficult to see how things, progresses now.
So I think another 5 minutes to go to start, right?
Yes. That's
yes,
6 minutes. 5 minutes.
We can wait for another 10 minutes, I think.
I think, Momita, let us start because what do you think?
No, actually the webinar is scheduled to start from 4:30.
4:30, after 5 minutes.
Yeah, it is not 4:30 yet. And plus we should wait for 3-4 minutes extra. Each and
But Dr. Dey, with webinars, people are getting quite punctual now.
yes.
Which was
sometimes there are some conditions regarding weather because in our area recently we had the huge rain and storm. Sometimes due to that network connectivity gets lost.
No, I fully agree with you. We can give 4-5 minutes. That's not a worry. But I said with webinar things are all much on time. Otherwise,
much on time.
It's
always easier.
Workshops, sometimes you have to really wait for half an hour. Some chief guest has to come. So it's like.
It's easier to put our attendance through internet.
Yeah,
Always.
true, very true.
Yeah.
Pooja, please introduce madam.
Oh,
So
okay.
actually long time didn't see the campus. The reason.
That is the reason sir has changed the background to this virtual one.
That's looking lovely.
Adamas University.
That's looking lovely.
Actually, the background looks very good, sir.
Yeah, I
Okay,
hope I
so
will be able to come
let me
here.
introduce to Professor Aparajita Bhattacharya. She is a senior professor of our department, and she was also the former HOD and professor of Jadavpur University Department of Physics. So let me welcome Professor Bhattacharya, ma'am. Welcome. Ma'am, you are on mute.
Madam, unmute.
Yes, ma'am, we have our speakers with us, Mr. Aninda Bose and Professor Pranjal Fukan.
Hello, sir. Happy to meet you. Eagerly waiting for your talks.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think people are joining now. The last 5 to 10 minutes are crucial. Always.
Some a little bit delay, I think, due to this rain, sudden rain from Ford.
The weather was real bad.
No, prediction was there very much.
All day it was very sunny. Whole day long.
Madam?
All day long it was very sunny. Suddenly rain comes after around 4. Right?
Ma'am, probably it is because we have decided to organize this webinar in this time.
In Kolkata, it's raining now.
Yes, sir, it was raining heavily.
And, it is almost 4:30 now, but it is looking like 6:30 or 7 almost. Totally dark.
This was sudden, huh?
Yeah, it is sudden. It was, is there any focus? I do not think.
No, there was no forecast. I haven't seen a forecast of rain in Kolkata today. So it's like. Maybe God is just showering his blessings to us.
May I speak to Devasmita Paul? Are you in Indian or just in India?
দেবস্মিতা ঢুকে গিয়ে কোথায় চলে গেছে?
ও কি এখন এখানেই আছে নাকি ও?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ স্যার, ও এখানেই আছে। ও চলে এসেছিল মার্চ মাসে। ধরো ক্যামেরাটাকে একটু তুলতে হবে।
Hello.
Hello, who is this?
Devasmita.
I was asking, where are you now?
Yeah, I'm in India now. I can't go back till now.
Don't even think of going back right now.
So when have you come
Yeah.
here? Devasmita?
I came here 3rd March.
Okay. So just before everything being collapsed, you come here, right?
Yeah, just before everything collapsed.
But most probably in Czech Republic, the effect is
fine now.
less.
Yeah,
It's
everything's
less.
fine now, and university is also open.
Yeah. Because yesterday I was talking with one of friend here. He is in the University of Technology. So he was telling that it is not so severe there.
Okay. And yeah,
And
there is everything okay.
So it is already given in our department channel, YouTube channel. So I request all members to subscribe to the newly created Department of Physics at Advanced University channel, YouTube channel. So you can see already, I think it is circulated. Most probably Dr. Shatarupa already circulated the link of YouTube. So basically, this is the link for the Department of Physics at Advanced University channel. So it's okay because now we can keep all our just this activity and every just video and online classes there also.
Is it the same channel where Dr. Dey's video is there?
Yes. Actually, which is already shared. The same.
I mean, which video sir is talking about?
I saw one video where you were talking about a class session, and it was a 6-minute video yesterday. I just watched.
Yes. That is the channel. Actually,
it
was first in Adams University channel, and now we have created a YouTube channel exclusively for Department of Physics.
Physics, yeah.
So we are live streaming now. In that.
Yeah.
Yes, we are live streaming.
Because some of the students, they're afraid of entering Zoom because of some security issues and everything. So we gave them the YouTube link. Okay, no problem.
With that, let us start.
Yes, we can start now.
Because it will be late otherwise.
Yes.
Don't worry, this is just 3 minutes past 4:30. Okay, so Shadrupa, shall we start now?
Yes, we can start.
Okay.
So a warm welcome to all the participants. So first of all, I would like to welcome our speakers, Dr. Fukan and Mr. Aninder Bose. And also I would like to welcome our dean, Professor Bimal Kumar Sarkar, who is the Dean of School of Basic and Applied Sciences at Adams University, and also our Associate Dean, Dr. Momita Mukherjee, who is also the convener for this meeting, and our head of the department, Dr. Momita Dey. For this webinar, like all the webinars, we have 2 rules. One is we will have to put ourselves on mute while the speaker is giving the presentation. So to avoid the background noise. And another point is, if we have any question, you can put up in the chat box. We will take up the questions once the speaker presentation is complete. So now, thank you. I would like to thank all the speakers for giving us the time, for taking out the time for and presenting here today. So for the last few months, it has been difficult for all of us. Still, I would say that we are privileged enough somehow we managed ourselves with the help of this technology. So as the saying goes, challenges creates opportunities. So today in our seminar, we would hear from our speakers how they see the world during the pandemic of coronavirus and after the pandemic is over. So what will be the challenges and what will be the opportunities that will be opening up due to these challenges? So I would like to request Professor Bimal Kumar Sarkar to say a few words and then we would begin the webinar. So over to Professor Sarkar.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shubha Vishwas. So this is an opportunity for me, and it's my pleasure to speak something in front of you. Today, the Department of Physics, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, Adama's University is organizing the webinar nCOVID-19 era, challenges and opportunities, very rightly arranged and very relevant in proper time. Everything is fine because we are in the belief that everything bad thing when come from nature should have also some positive side we should look after also. So the COVID-19 obviously the great challenge to us. At the same time, it may just offer us some kind of opportunities in the form of give us the capability to find some way out from this very severe problem. And that creates a lot of opportunities for us. So today, these things will be discussed, I'm quite sure, today with us, Dr. Pranjal Hukan from Department of Radiology and Imaging, Northeast India, Indira Gandhi Regional Institute of Health, and Mr. Ananda Bose, the senior publishing editor, Springer Nature. So I'm quite sure, and it's a pleasure for us that the speakers today will present all of these issues, which are the challenges for us, and what will be the opportunities we can take just with us, and we can go ahead to look after newly in new form this severe and crucial moment. So, and also I'm very happy that just even right from faculty members and students and also from other places, just today here with this webinar, and I wish all the best, a big success of this webinar today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So now I would request Dr. Momita Mukherjee to introduce our first speaker. So ma'am, can you please unmute yourself and introduce this?
You are in mute. You are in mute. Please unmute yourself first.
Thank you, Shatruppa. Today, our first speaker, Dr. Pranjal Fukan, is Associate Professor of Department of Radiology and Imaging, NICRIMS, Shillong. He did his MBBS from Guwahati Medical College, MD in Radio Diagnosis from Assam Medical College, and DM in Neuroimaging and Intervention Neuroradiology from SCT Institute of Medical Science and Technology, Trivandrum. He is well-known, acclaimed academician besides its medical profession. He has published till date more than 30 good research papers in world-reputed medical journals and investigating scientist of 5 different medical science-related projects. His area of interest is intervention radiology, neuroradiology, and neuroimaging. On behalf of the organizing committee, it's our great pleasure to welcome for an interactive lecture on the role of radiology in the diagnosis of COVID-19, which is now a very, very urgent field. So I'd request our speaker to please start this.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, good evening, everybody. So I'm very feeling proud to give this opportunity to present this presentation. And today I actually I'll present on the COVID-19 imaging, how we diagnose the disease. One thing that this whatever image I am showing here, this is not our institute image, because we are not getting single cases here also here in our institute. So this is our institute, NEGRIMS. It is located in the Shillong. This is the beautiful picture of which is located in the Mount Yangdeng hilltop. So now COVID-19 is a global pandemic, and it is reaching 70 lakhs positive patients in the world with 4 lakhs deaths. It is actually the RNA viral disease, and most diagnostic test positive test is the PCR test is the most sensitive, most specific. But antibody test is also available, which is very rapidly can be done, and it is a very sensitive but not specific. CT is playing a major role, and it has a high sensitivity with low specificity. Just about that our virus, this is RNA, single stranded RNA virus. It is enveloped by the lipid bilayers. This is the RNA nucleic acid, and most important finding is that it is a spike-like projections. Actually, this is it has multiple spikes at the surface. These multiple spikes that actually bind to the AC angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptors, which is usually present at the lung epithelium. That when it's attached, it is that RNA virus is going inside the epithelial cell, where it replicates to the multiple virus and release to the acinar or alveolar cell. This is the simple mechanism of the RNA virus or COVID-19 virus. Our main part of the presentation is the imaging. First, we will see, actually, this group is the engineering group. So I just see how CT is seeing on seeing. This is actually CT picture of the air lung. This air, the air usually is seen as a black colors. This is trachea, and this is the bronchus. It is the dividing this portion dividing portion is called carina. This is right bronchus and left bronchus. Right bronchus again divided to the upper and lower. Again same way, the left side also divided into the upper and lower bronchus. This area, the air is sort of trachea. In trachea, the trachea contains air, so trachea appears black color. The lung parenchyma, this is called the lung parenchyma. This lung parenchyma appears the black color, but it is little higher attenuation than the trachea. And this whole area is the lung parenchyma, both sides. This is the vascular markings, and the periphery, it is covered by the pleura, and this is called the mediastinal. This is mediastinal pleura, and this is thoracic pleura, and this is diagnostic pleura. And this area is the bone. There are this is the how thorax is seen on CT scan. The most important point, or see for interpretation of the COVID-19 or any interstitial lung disease, we have to know the secondary lobules. This is actually CT picture where it is marking. This is bronchioles. The bronchioles, it is the most distal, it is called the terminal bronchioles. The terminal bronchioles again divided into the multiple acinars or alveolar sacs. This is actually the alveolar sac. It is around 1 to 2 centimeter. This is the most important or functional unit of the lung where the gas were exchanged. So it consists of the alveolar sacs, usually 10 to 15 alveolar sac present in its alveolar. This bronchus, this is terminal bronchus, it is parallel by the arteries. The venous drainage is usually present at the periphery or it is located within the septa. So there are multiple this is called the secondary lobe, multiple secondary lobes. This is separated by the fibrous septa. This septation, it is called the interlobular septa. There are a lot of intralobular septa which is usually normally not seen in the lung parenchyma, normal CT scan. Coming to the CT findings, usually what are findings we are seeing here? In early stage, we can see the ground glass opacity. It is usually located in the peripheral part of the lung, bilateral, and in the lower lobe. And sometimes we can see the superadded consolidations. In late stage, we can see the confluent area of the late stage means in the disease progress, the ground glass opacity became confluent and sometimes the crescitating and superimposed with the consolidations in healing stage in more advanced cases or when the lesions going to be healed. During that time, with that opacities became so in the when disease is going to the healing stage, this opacities became the it is also healed, so it became the linear, and it makes the distortion of the adjacent structures. So now coming to the ground glass opacity. What is ground glass opacity? Ground glass opacity is the increased attenuation of the lung parenchyma without obscuration of the underlying vessels. This is the secondary lobules. So here, the increase in CT scan, these secondary lobules will be white in color, mild white in color, but we can visualize the lung bronchus as well as the lung blood vessels. So this is actually the early stage of the disease, usually due to the filling of the alveolar space, edema, pus, hemorrhage, etc. But in COVID patients, actually, what happened when the virus reaches the terminal bronchioles, after that it goes to the acini, then it invades the epithelial cell. In the epithelial cell, it replicates. During that time, there is an initiation of the hypersensitivity reactions. So it produces some inflammations. That's why we can see as a hyperdense opacities. This we can see this is the main differentiating point of this important finding in this ground glass opacities. We can see the blood vessels along the opacities. This is one patient. We can see there is a round shaped hyperdensities in the right lung parenchyma. It is located peripherally. Almost it is abutting the pleura, and another opacity in the opposite side, so bilateral lesions. This opacity is the ground glass because the blood vessels is crossing to the So when the time is progress, it became the more lobules will involved, and it became more confluent. It became confluent. So more opacities we can see, but bronchials, terminal bronchials, as well as the blood vessels, we can visualize within the lesion. This is the advanced stage, more advanced stage. We can see the disease progression of the disease, and it is seen on both sides, bilateral, almost all of the lung parenchyma in both. So all of the lung parenchyma appears white in colors. This picture is called a white lung. Now coming to the consolidation. Consolidation is also the obscure, it is the lung opacities, but here the differentiation with the differentiating point from the ground glass opacity and consolidation is that in consolidation we cannot delineate the bronchioles as well as the lung arteries. So blood vessels we cannot see here because this is the disease's progress. The replicated virus is coming to the alveolar space. So there is a storm of inflammatory reactions. The massive inflammatory exudate fills the alveolar sacs, so the obscuring the blood vessels. So this is here in the initial stage we can see the blood vessels. These are opacity, multiple opacities, peripherally located, round, shaped, bilateral. This is the initial stage of the COVID patients, and we can visualize the blood vessels along the opacities. But when the disease is progress, it is more involvement of the lobules. But here we cannot see the blood vessels. At a more progressive stage, we can see that the this is consolidations, and we cannot see the blood vessel. One more important thing is the consolidation is the air bronchogram. Air bronchogram is the patent bronchioles, which appears as a linear hypodensities, the black color, linear black color within the lesions. This is because of the patent terminal bronchioles and inflamed bronchial walls. Now, the trachypelvic. The trachypelvic opacities is the scattered or diffuse ground glass opacities with a linear, superimposed linear patterns. What are the linear patterns? Suppose this is the this is one secondary lobule, another secondary lobule. This is the fibrous septa. So interlobular septation, if it is thickened, interlobular septations, these are the interlobular septation. If the interlobular septation is thickened, if the acinar wall, acinar also may be thickens, and this any pattern, ground glass opacity. So ground glass opacity superimposed with any pattern of the linear, this pattern of the linear pattern is called a trachypelvic opacity. Here we can see that this is the ground glass type of opacities, but there is a interlobular septation are thickened. So this is called the trachypelvic appearance. Here it is well seen. It is a zoom image, and we can see that there are the ground glass opacities, which interlobular septation thickening, as well as the periacinar. The acinar wall is also thickened. So this pattern is called trachypelvic type of opacities. Now the vascular dilatation. This is the one typical pattern of the vascular. The vessels, the proximal to the ground glass opacity or consolidations are dilated or thickened. That is, this is opacities. These are the ground glass opacity we can see, and this is the proximal to the that is supplying vessels. The blood vessels, it is thickened. It is enlarged compared to the normal appearing lung parenchyma. So we can see this is the hello. So this is the blood vessels which is thickened compared to the normal appearing lung parenchyma. This is because hypoxia. This is hypoxia produced by the micro thrombosis in the COVID patients. This is the Lancet article. They said that this is due to the failure of normal physiological vasoconstriction, regulation of the vasodilatation. So that's why, because of that, the vessels were dilated proximal to the ground glass opacity. Now coming to the halo sign. Halo sign is, here we can see this is another. See there is a consolidations, and this is the term rate ground glass opacity. But in between the consolidation and the ground glass opacity, there is a hypodense linear hypodense margins. This is called the halo sign. This is all. It is called the target sign. The halo sign represent that there is consolidation area. The central hyperdense area is the all well organized, well established lesions, and this is followed by the halo area. This hypodense area that represent the replication of the virus within the epithelial cell. So another is the reverse halo sign. Here we can see that the central portion of the opacity is hypodense compared to the peripheral part. This is the replicated RNA replication within the epithelial cell, and this is well established opacities. So this is the fibrotic opacities. The fibrosis, when it is in the healing stage, if it is healing stage, the fibrotic opacities, ground glass opacities, consolidations are healed, so that it became the constricted and appears as a linear opacities. And as it is a constricted, the area is constricted, so it pull the adjacent structure. If it pull the bronchioles, it is called the traction bronchiectasis, because it dilated, it became dilated. If it pulls the pleura, it's a distortion of the pleura. We have to see the negative finding also. That when you see the consolidations, usually if it is whole segments, if the consolidation is involves the whole segment of the lung, usually not present in the COVID patients. This type of consolidations usually seen in the bacterial pneumonia. And sometimes we can see the multiple nodular opacities and consolidations with the nodular opacity unilateral origin. Unilaterally, if you see the unilateral side location, it is actually aspiration type of pneumonia. It is not a COVID pneumonia. It's never shows till now, no literature shows that the COVID patients showing the nodular opacities. If nodular opacities are seen, then we can think of the sarcoidosis, aspiration pneumonia, or pneumoconiosis. The pulmonary infarct, sometimes we can see the pulmonary infarct here, but the pulmonary infarct is not in the bigger size. This is the big infarct in the big area of the infarct, pulmonary infarct. In the COVID patient, we can see the small pulmonary infarct because there is a microvascular occlusion. But in other pulmonary In fact, this is actually the large vessels occlusion. That's why it is the bigger in size. So in COVID patient, we can see multiple small pulmonary infarct. In influenza, we can see the small consolidations and mostly seen in the central area, Peripherally also we can see, but mostly it is seen in the central area. Central location is not a finding of COVID. Adenovirus also, we can see crazy spreading pattern of lesions. Here we can see this is the crazy spreading, but peripheral, pleura is clear. So this is not a case for COVID patient. In COVID patient, it's always in the peripheral and round obesities. The same as the para-influenza disease, also para-influenza usually seen in the young child, and multiple nodular obesities, pericentral areas are usually seen in the para-influenza pneumonia. So now I want to, they have the scoring. Scoring means how fatality can be assessed on the CT scan. In the literature, they say they divide the lung parenchyma into the 20 segments. It is already there. It is the bronchial segments. In the bronchial segment of the lung is divided into 20 segments. And they give the 1 marks. If it is 1 marks for less than 50% involvement, it's in each segment. And more than 50% involvement is score 2. And total score in the whole lung is the total 40. And there is statistically significant poor outcome if involvement area score is 19.5. And when the disease is progressing, means that starting from the sign-up to till date, there is a changing pattern of the imaging pattern. Previously, the ground glass obesities are most commonly followed, and along with the bilateral involvement, posterior distribution, multilobar involvement, and peripheral distributed. But now they change over changing of time. It said that the initial time, the ground glass obesities, crazy breathing, and lower number of less number of groups are input. In the disease progress, it is the confluent area of the ground glass obesities, increased crazy breathing pattern, followed by the consolidation and gradual resolutions. This is the changing pattern of the imaging findings of COVID patient. Now coming to the AI application, this is most probably useful for you, but I can say that the AI applications can help a lot of things to, in the medical system, particularly for in these pandemic situations. It can detect the first. It can AI-based detection of the COVID patients, like I requested to. We can see this say the symptoms and any history of travels. And thereby we can the AI system can recognize whether it is a high risk people or low risk people. They also can detect the contact tracing. It will help the contact tracing. It can help in patient monitoring and the treatment options of the treatments to the doctors, and also the newer drugs promotions. So I conclude that the bilateral ground glass round-shaped peripherally located obesities are mostly seen in the COVID-19, and AI system has the significant role to improvement of the disease COVID diagnosis as well as the treatment option. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. So, do we have any questions? If you have any question, you can we can have some discussion for around 5 minutes.
I have one
So,
question.
yes, yes.
Uh, Professor Fukan, it's an interesting presentation. Due to some maybe internet connectivity problem, slightly the sound was disturbing. Otherwise, we understand what you want to explain there. Just a small question, that suppose one person is suffering with a lung disease before affecting with COVID, or a person is not affected with COVID and another is affected with some other lung disease. So based on city, how could you distinguish between the two cases? Is there any particular symptom or any changes there which will help the doctors to detect the COVID patient by studying X-ray or
Yes,
by
actually,
studying
yes, sir. The clinically it is a influenza type disease. I'm showing the case here. Here we can see these are the opacities. This is the initial stage of the disease. It is located in the periphery. This is the periphery. This is the central portion. It is periphery. So in COVID patient, the initial stage, the opacity is in round in shape, and this is it is located peripherally, abutting the pleura. This is one criteria. Usually shows in the lower lobe, bilateral involvement and lower lobe. But can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the consolidation, other type of pneumonia. These consolidations here, it is a bigger in shape, but in COVID patient initial stage it is a smaller in shape and not involved the whole segment. This one segment is involved. In COVID patient, half of the or more than 50% multiple lobules involved, multiple segment involved. But in other pneumonias, it may be it is actually particularly the bacterial pneumonia. Usually the whole segment involved. It is the larger in size. And second thing, there is never, till now, there is no report showing the nodular opacity. Nodular opacity, this opacity is the small dot type. So this is the one dot, this is one dot. This is called the nodules. These nodular opacities are not seen in COVID patients. Usually seen in aspiration pneumonia, sarcoidosis, or pneumoconiosis. This is actually the small nodular opacities. The nodular opacities are not seen in COVID patients. This is pulmonary infarct. Yes, pulmonary infarct also present in COVID patient, but the COVID patient, the pulmonary infarct is due to the microvascular occlusion. So it will be the smaller in size, first thing is smaller in size, multiple in size, multiple, as well as in the bilateral involvement. Otherwise, this is normal pulmonary infarct, pulmonary embolism. So it is usually the bigger size of artery involved. So area of the pulmonary infarct is the larger in size. So small bilateral multiple involvement is the finding for COVID patient. This is the also nodular opacities, nodular, mostly the central area. Central area is sparing in the COVID. This is the para-influenza pneumonia. adenovirus pneumonia, we can see that the pleura is clear, pleura is normal. Usually the opacities are usually seen in the central portions, but in COVID patient, it is abutting the pleura, so it is in the peripheral locations. And we never see any pleural effusion. Here also not seen, but never no publications that showing the pleural effusions. That's why this is the differentiating point from the COVID patient or other pneumonias.
Another question, Shatarupa.
Yes, ma'am. Sir, we have another question from Dr. Shumi Mukhopadhyay. She says that it is a very interesting presentation. And have you started AI-based diagnosis? So, is there any application of
that can
AI?
Momita madam can say better than me. So we have one project with Momita madam, and they actually they are going to develop this device, and after that we can apply it in will apply in Negrims. That is the project. Momita madam can say better than me.
Yes, madam.
And one more thing. Yes, ma'am.
We have started doing this and getting some result. But as you know, real more and more real images will be required to to complete the program or complete the design.
Yes.
Now we are getting nearly last 2 to 3 days back, last data we received that 89% accuracy we have received till now. But we are trying to make the model more and more accurate. At least 92 to 93% accuracy is our target. And I would like to say that Dr. Shumi Mukhopadhyay is a senior microbiologist. Madam, you please introduce yourself.
Thank you, madam, for this wonderful invitation. It's indeed an honor to be among all of you, and this was really very interesting. And one more question I have in my mind. What all precautions do you really require to do such type of AI-based diagnosis for patients who are coming to visit you?
Precautions, I failed to listen the question. Can you please repeat, madam? We are actually analyzing. We are actually analyzing. Basically, we are comparing the results that we are getting from city. We are collecting the results from different diagnostic center, because CT images, a large number is not available now in India. Not much available. That is creating a little bit trouble to us. And that is why sometimes we are relying upon the results which are already available in net or available in Google. So in this way, we are trying to develop the model, and maybe with time, more and more data will be available and the accuracy level will get enhanced.
Thank you so much. It's really very interesting, and I hope in future we will be able to collaborate with you also.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Dr. Fukan, we have another question from Vishal Roy. He says, sir, we know that there is no medicine to cure COVID-19, but many patients are cured. How the patients are cured? Which medicines are used to cure these patients?
Yeah, actually the maximum, whatever I know that I'm the radiologist, so treatment part, I have less knowledge in the treatment part, but still, whatever I know, I can say that it is actually when the virus enters within the, it is growing or replicate, it induces the inflammations. So when it is going, the young patients, usually the young patients are alive, survive. And the old patient who have the diabetes or any other risk factors, they have the antibody. They form the antibody which resist the which kill the virus. But the maximum in the Western countries, the maximum. Yeah, in the old days and any other risk factors like diabetes, hypertension, they have the less immunity. So immunity is the actually saving the young peoples. And hydroxychloroquine, somebody says the hydroxychloroquine also save. And recently it is said that there is a micro thrombosis in the pulmonary arteries. So they are giving the anticoagulant or antiplatelet. So these are the treatment actually.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, another question is, no, it's not actually question, it is so Professor Bimal Sarkar wants you to comment on the fact that at Delhi COVID tests, they are testing negative, but at Calcutta, the rapid tests are showing positive within 2 hours. So how is that possible, or
Yeah,
whether those are...
rapid test, the PCR is the very specific. It is specific, but low sensitivity is very less, PCR. But antibody test, we already have disease and already formed the antibody. This can be detected very rapidly. And this antibody test is, it can be given within the 2 hours. It has the very high sensitivity and less specific.
So, Professor, I have one question regarding that.
Yeah.
How much the virus take times to be expressed when enter the body?
Yeah, actually, it is initially it was it was said to be 14 days, within the 14 days, but till nowadays the incubation period is there are a lot of report incubation period going to the 1 month also. Then even in the more than 1 month.
Okay.
Sir,
So
I
now,
have a... Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So you're saying something. Sir, I have one question that, sir, in case of X-ray, sir, whether with this diagnosis, whether you are depending on flat X-rays or CTs, because flat X-rays have a low resolution, while CTs.
Yeah, CT is
so you are depending
it is
on
more
CT.
sensitive than PCR, CT scan.
But CT scan is expensive, I think.
Yeah, CT scan is expensive.
So
now
is
India
it
government
possible
is.
to...
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so CT is expensive, and so India government is not recommending CT scan for this patient, but they are doing the X-ray imaging. Even in the American College of Radiology also, they also not recommended newly they give guidelines that they are not recommending CT scan, because there are a lot of patients that daily increase the patient, so it is very difficult to do the CT scan. And though they are doing the X-ray. So AI detection of the AI system, developing the AI system that is the most important fact, that if we did the AI system, we can do the scanning at the scan areas. So it will be very good for this patient.
Okay. And sir, another question from Vishal Roy, sir. It is he's saying that many media channels are showing that homeopathy medicine named Arsenicum album 30 can cure COVID-19. So is it medically proven or not?
Actually, we have one IUS institute here, and they said that they are giving some medicines, but I don't know. But IUS need dedicated research, any type of. Till now, not even in the COVID, they have to do lot of research in other fields also. COVID IUS or Ayurvedic need lot of research to prove their potential.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for your.
Shadrupa, I have one question, one last question. Actually, it's a simple thing. I just want to ask Professor Fukan that which one would you think till date is the best technique to detect COVID-19? Because sometimes it is reported that for some patients who are COVID-19 positive, but still the CTs or chest X-rays are came out to be normal. So which one is the better? I mean, RT-PCR or the imaging techniques?
See, RT-PCR is the specificity is very high in the RT-PCR, but the sensitivity is less. So we can miss
sensitivity is less means. I mean, somewhere I have written that it is taken as the golden standard of measurement or detection.
Standard because the specificity is very high. So we can see whatever they will give the positive, then mostly the maximum will be the positive case. So positive predictive value will be high, but specificity the sensitivity is very low. So we can miss some patient. So even we can see some cases here also in Ceylon also. PCR is negative, but CT showing definite pattern of imaging. So it need to be at least if possible. It is not possible because of the high price of this cost. If possible, I think that two tests, at least CT or PCR or CT or antibody test. It will be helpful for the community.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, another very interesting and important question Professor Sarkar is asking that after COVID recovery, is it that the damage is 100% controlled, or is there anything remaining? Like, is it that the damage is the 100% reversible?
Yeah, but thing is that we have to wait for the herd immunity. Herd immunity means that like the TB, previously TB is the very big problem. It's still a global problem, but we are not thinking whether a patient is TB or not. It is a general problem. It's that sometimes we are immune to that one. That the virus is going to the community everywhere, will exposed to the all population of the community will be exposed to this one, and they internally they will produce antibody for this one. Then it will be safe for us. It will take times.
So no, sir. But if somebody is having this COVID positive, if the person is positive, and then that person is cured and then coming back home, but the damage that is created in the lungs, so is it completely 100% recovered?
If it is a minor this thing, it will be recovered. Or if the patient is symptomatic, he will recover. But if it is a fully full-blown white lung, patient will die. Because he cannot get the he cannot take the breath. Yeah, so he will die. But once it is recovered, and gradually it will improve, and whatever already damaged, it will be regrowing. This area will be replaced by the normal lung. So suppose sometimes we are doing the pneumoectomy. The one portion of the lung we can remove, so that other portion of the lung taking part of that area. So that's why it will be recovered.
So, sir, what is the effect or degree of severity damage done to the epithelium cell?
Yeah, it will be. I think it will be regrowing because suppose one portion. I'm telling that you suppose we are doing sometimes we are doing the surgery of the one portion of the lung, we remove it, so that the rest of the lung will growing to that area, and it is taking taking care of that area.
Okay.
Sir, can we proceed?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Pranjal Fukan, for your such an informative presentation, and we are really enlightened. We had so much questions. So if any other questions are there, we will take it later. Now I would like to move on to the second speaker. So I would request Dr. Momita Mukherjee to introduce our second speaker. So ma'am, can you please unmute yourself? Dr. Momita Mukherjee, can you unmute yourself? We cannot hear you.
Shatrupa, maybe there are some connectivity issues. Just wait for 1 or 2 minutes. I'm trying to call her. Just a minute. Okay.
Yes, she's joining back.
Well, she apologized for the delay just because of this bad weather. The network seems lost, and she's trying to come. Just we can wait for 1 or 2 minutes till then, Shatrupa.
Yes, I've already, she's already trying to connect, I can see.
Yes, yes.
Yes. I'm sorry. It was creating a serious disturbance. Just a second. Just a second. Let me connect. Am I audible now?
Yes, very much.
Yes, ma'am. So I would request you to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Anindya Bose.
Yes. Let us welcome our second speaker, Mr. Anindya Bose. He is presently working as a senior publishing editor with Springer Nature. Mr. Bose is part of the global acquisition team at Springer Nature and responsible for acquisition of scientific content across the globe. He is responsible for acquisition of content in interdisciplinary applied sciences. He has more than 25 years of industrial experience in marketing and different fields of publishing. Mr. Bose has completed masters in organic chemistry from Delhi University and masters in marketing research from Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies, Pune. Mr. Bose has delivered more than 120 invited talks on scientific writing and publishing ethics in reputed universities, international conferences, author workshops. He has published books for secondary level in chemistry and is a member of American Chemical Society, USA. So Mr. Anindya Bose is a very, very popular name who are everybody who are attached with the publishing sector. So without taking much time, let us introduce Mr. Bose and please start your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee. I will just share the screen and then we will start. I hope you can see the screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So good evening, everyone over here, and good to know that weather is changing. So maybe good for good. You know, over in some time. I know there are some connection issues over there you are facing. And Adam's team for doing this webinar and inviting me for this particular event. This is an opportunity to talk to you all. This is a presentation publication domain. It's a very interesting area. right now we are in the middle of the pandemic, So it is very difficult to talk about the impact right now. It is, we are still in the process of understanding what is happening to us, and we are still taking time to digest the whole thing around us. We had a fantastic presentation from Dr. Furqan about the city, and we can see so many things have been done, and artificial intelligence is playing so big role right now in managing this whole thing, and that is worldwide. And we are basically looking for a lot of data, which is going to help us. And as you see that with publication, we can have a lot of data, which is peer-reviewed data, which comes into the hands of the people who are able to fight it and try to find some solutions for us. So anyways, I will try to do some justice to this topic, and I will talk about what is happening in this publication domain. Before going to the topic directly, I will say Happy World Food Safety Day to you. It's a Food Safety Day, 7th June 2020. The first call for action, which you can see over here, is ensure it's safe. That means we have to really ensure that the food which we are eating is safe, and that is very, very important, because if we are not eating safe food, we are going to land up in these kind of situations where the whole world is right now. A little about Springer, where I come from. I started my career long back, almost 25 years ago, with Publishing World, and then have done so many areas I have touched in publishing. Springer, I am working with Springer since 2011, and enjoying my work, talking to authors, meeting them. But unfortunately, the medium is right now only meeting on phone or webinars. So this company, which is always, you can see a horse over there, which always remains the limelight of authors and editors. This company started in 1842 by Julius Springer, and it started as a small bookstore in Berlin. And he started this publication thing, immediately started talking to all these people who are Nobel laureates, and they were doing all kind of self-publishing at that time. So he gave an opportunity to them to come over, and why not? Store turned into a publishing unit. In 1924, almost after 60 years or so, Vienna. And in 1946, just after the Second World War, he opened the main office right now, because Berlin is the corporate office, but still Heidelberg is the editor we have. Now this company changed to Springer Nature very recently, and in 2015, 5 years ago. And Macmillan Science and Education with the Nature publication, they all became one part. And 2015, we launched this company, Springer joined Nature as a Springer Nature. Now we have more than 10,000 plus colleagues, and we have offices in more than 50 countries. See, before I go to COVID-19, I would say this COVID-19 has created a havoc for all the academicians, It opening doors to discovery, but at the same time, there is a new COVID which has entered there. It is like challenges of online virtual interaction and discourse. How to interact with the students, how to interact with their community, how to interact with the audience virtually online. So it is a new COVID, which is like COVID-20, you can say. This is actually, really, really taking a lot of time, a lot of intelligence, a lot of understanding to how to tackle this situation. And if you see that, all the universities, they are pretty struggling right now. There are very few universities immediately able to adapt to this mode. Still, there are universities, they are struggling to have examinations. And we were talking before this presentation, like Delhi University and universities in Maharashtra, they have canceled the examination for all the universities. So this is a big, big challenge, challenge of online virtual interaction. But I think this is becoming something which people will are going to use it for a long time, not for a shorter period, because these has many advantages also. We will discuss them when we will go to other sections. Before the impact, it is very important for all of you to know what the industry looks like, what all things are there in the industry. It is actually the world of digits which you need to understand. Then only it will be easy for you to know, understand the impact also. So if you look at the world of digits, you will find the India's book market, which is the book market, and now these markets are very difficult to get surveyed, because there are so many unorganized sectors in all our Indian markets that it is very difficult to get a correct figure. Although Nielsen is working very hard for last 20 years to get many details about this publishing industry. So India's book market as on date is like 52,000 crores. That actually has 30% of higher education and 70% of K-12. Now, if you look at the number of publishing houses in India, it is again a very high number, like 19,000 publishing houses and ever growing. But there are only 12,000 publishing houses. They are using certain kind of ISBN system where you can actually track the books, where you can find the books digitally. Otherwise, there are many publishing houses. They are just coming up, and they are also disappearing from the market, but they don't stand there. Interestingly, if you see, there are 9,000 English language publishers in India. We are the second largest English language book publisher in the world. We are the 6th largest publisher in the world. India has a big potential. We publish more than 1 lakh plus books in 1 year in India. The total number of books published in the world, if you look at the total number of books, it is a very high number. It is like 2.2 million. So out of this 2.2 million, we only publish 1 lakh plus books. Then rest of there are 123 more countries. They publish a lot of books. But interestingly, we publish in many languages. I will just come to the industry highlights. Now, when we talk about publication as a whole, very important to understand that what is actually publication, which all areas we are talking about. Publication domain is what domain we are referring to. Like we have newspaper publishing. Newspaper publishing is also part of publication. Periodical publishing. Periodical publishing is all the magazines, which you see there are so many vendors who are selling these magazines. So many small boys in the traffic lights you will find holding magazines in their hands. Then we have a huge book publishing market. Like I said, 2.2 million books are published worldwide. 52,000 crore is the turnover of India. Then we have academic publishing. Academic publishing is again, the books and the research content, which is part of the academic world, and also K-12. Then we have directory publishing, tie-in publishing, self-publishing. Self-publishing looks very interesting, but if you look at the numbers in 2018, 18 lakh books, 1.8 million books were self-published in America, which was never counted in the total publishing. So there, you will just imagine how many books are getting self-published. Now, key highlights, if you want to know about India, there are like 25,000 number of organized and unorganized book retailers. Now, these retailers are not the retailers we usually now go to, like we go to Flipkart, we go to Amazon, we go to many other online retailers, but these are 25,000 plus retailers who are there, have their shops, So there is a big impact when we talk about all these retailers in India with the COVID-19 pandemic. Then we have STM business. STM business in India is 30,000 crores. But again, with 30,000 crores, 60% of this market is in print. Now, when we are talking about print market, again, pandemic has a very big impact on print market because we are not printing anything at this moment. All printing shops are closed, and we are only talking about electronic or digital medium in which we are catering to. In India, we publish in 22 languages and 1,600 dialects. I was amazed to find this data yesterday that I was thinking I didn't know about the 1,600 dialects, but interestingly, we have 19,500 mother tongues in India, and only 4% people are actually talking in those languages. But these are like huge numbers. If we look at the increase in literacy rate, it has really increased from 2003 to 2020. It has moved from like 55% to 90%. So that is a very good rider or an indicator for us where we can talk about literacy is high. So definitely publication will definitely do well. Then we have 70% of publishers in India have digitized their content. This whole thing started from 2008, 2009, but the movement was started in 2015, where every publisher in India actually trying to do something, some digital content on their platform. And that is why you can see the 70% of publishers in India have digitized their content to produce ebooks. And I think that is one of the factors which is actually going to help this particular industry, because if you have ebooks, at least you are in the business. If you have only print books, then it is very difficult to sustain when we have a pandemic like this. Coming to impacts, now I have actually tried to color code these things over here that will help you to understand. Now, when we are talking about this color zones, then it's much easier. Like you have a green zone where there is no impact of pandemic. Then you have yellow, then that means you have a chance that you can recover back. Then you have orange. Orange is like it's difficult, but at the same time, it will take time. And then you have red. Red is very, very grave situation where you need a lot of help from people like government, like NGOs, like different bodies. They can come back and they have to help you. Otherwise, it is very difficult to come back. Now, when we are talking about these impacts, there are a couple of things I would like you to understand. One is printing, which I am referring again and again. Printing is something which is very difficult to change in India at this moment, because we have a lot of printers who are the migrant laborers who are working. And this particular section is full of unorganized workers, unorganized sections. These sectors are in a red zone and they are in a very, very difficult situation. Organized sector, they are very less, very few numbers are there, but they are still in a position where they can talk about digital books and they can come back, and handle this situation. But if you look at these unorganized and organized sector, you can see that when an organized sector is also getting affected, then which all parts are getting affected? Like first is advertising. If you are losing revenue, then definitely you are not going to advertise more. You are going to advertise less. So advertising is the industry which is going to be affected heavily. Distribution. Now distribution network, if you see book or journals or any particular type of format of publication is not considered as an essential commodity. So when they are not essential commodity, they are not getting distributed, they are not getting couriered to different countries. Entry is restricted. So again, even if it is an organized sector, the print section is getting very, very hardly hit. Then we have promotion. There are so many books that all these authors and editors in the industry of print market, if you go to non-academic sections, you will find there are so many people in non-academic sections. They are writing beautiful books, and these books are getting promoted by their travels. They go to one country to another country, they held exhibitions, they do seminars, they have workshops, and they promote their content, which is very, very difficult right now. Situation is very difficult. Academic world, again, it is in YOLO state, I would say. But when we talk about the behavior is changing, the changing behavior of the reader, because reader is something they are stressed right now. Although they have a lot of time, they are in lockdown. But at the same time, you will see, even though they're in lockdown, they are not in a mood or in a position to read too many things. That is not the case in academic. Non-academic is bearing that brunt. In academic, we have to really go out and we have to read. Otherwise, it is not possible to survive. So we will see how this academic world is changing. We were talking about artificial intelligence for coronavirus outbreak. There's a huge number of data scientists and people who are in this industry. They are working very hard. Although I personally feel the data which is coming out of all these countries are very compromised right now. It is very difficult to get a correct data until and unless we have a system of sharing correct data with each country. It is very difficult to fight a global pandemic. So if we look at the riders over here, we have certain factors, and we can see they have their negatives and positives, definitely. Due to this particular impact of COVID, we have in academic research, you have very, very high submissions. The submissions are so high that in the month of January, we had 23,000 papers published on COVID only. And this increases if they are doubling up every 20 days. That means there are so many papers which are getting published. There is no time to read them. That is very interesting part, so many papers are there. Another interesting area is review process. If you go and ask reviewers, they are working day and night because the numbers are so alarmingly increasing that you will find they are saying there is a dramatic increase in the speed of the whole process. When you have so many papers, you have to really review them quickly so that they come out and so there are many preprint versions are going to all these archives. Even before the review, they are pre-review contents, they are there so that people can read. If you go to the download section, you will see there are enormous downloads, 500% increase in downloads of free content. And this free content is not less content. It's only 20% content on COVID is behind the paywall. Rest 80% is free, and all these contents are enormously downloaded. But the question is, are we really able to use them? Are we able to really read all of them? That is a big question mark. We are downloading, but I don't know whether with this kind of a submission and with this kind of a speedy production, we are able to actually read everything. So there are scientists who are working on different AI tools, even to understand the quality of this content. There is a team in US, Texas University, there is a team of some 12 people. They are just downloading and they are trying to find some kind of quality in that particular content so that only the quality content can be read by the teams. Now, I said in the beginning that it is very difficult to talk about what will happen after pandemic, because the pandemic is something which is ongoing right now. We are in the middle of the pandemic. And as far as my understanding goes, that we are saying that till September mid, the pandemic in India will peak and then only it will come down. So there is a model created by a team in IIS Bangalore, and it has been published very recently that this is going to peak till September mid. Now, if we talk about after pandemic and we try to see what kind of an impact it is going to have, we can have certain other factors we have to see. That is, one is universities. Universities are facing this. You are all teachers, you are part of the universities, and you can see very well that there are virtual classrooms. Initially, there was a struggle. Still, there is a struggle with the methods of assessments, how we are going to do that. Financial crisis, closure of small institutions, like small institutions and universities are facing a huge financial crisis. Even the bigger one are facing, like Cambridge University has come up in their 800 years of history that first time they are going to have an online 1-year session, which is a big thing. So drop in revenue from international students. Now there is a movement will be very low. So people will be thinking to study in their own countries. So after pandemic, universities are going to behave very differently. Now, if universities are going to behave differently, definitely the publication is going to behave differently. If we talk about scientific conferences, which is like, a hard hit, because from March to, I can see till October, everyone is either postponing their conference to the next year, or they are trying to have a virtual conference, which is again very difficult not easy for everyone to handle. There are issues with different connectivities. People are coming over and presenting their work. So virtual conference is something which is talk of the town, and everybody is looking forward to that. And there are definitely positives. Positive is that at any point of time, anyone in the world can join a conference. You don't have to, travel issues are not there. People who have travel problems, people who have small kids, they cannot travel very frequently. People with disabilities, they cannot travel, so they can actually go. Then cost saving, it's a big cost saving for the organizers, and a big saving for climate people who are dealing in climate. They can say there's an environment friendly mode, carbon footprints are very low, there's a huge reduction. So this is something again, which is going to have a big impact on conferences. When there is a big impact on conferences, there will be big impact on the kind of papers which are going to come out of these conferences and how they are presented. And then we will also have different type of books which will be able to help them how to cater this particular audience. So definitely the publication is going to be effective. There are certain mixed signs also. You can see mixed signs. I want to say that this is a time when everybody is asking and coming you to take care of yourself, take care of the community, of your parents, of your family. But at the same time, you have to work. That is another thing. So on one ear, you are hearing take care of yourself, and the other ear is telling you publish or perish or go and work. So it is very difficult time and challenging time. People are changing goals. You can see people, even this is a quote from a quantum physicist who is working on a model right now on a COVID. And she said our normal daily things lost their importance. So they have moved, once these goals are changed, people go to research where there is a fund. When they go to these areas, there is a less scope that they will come back to their original also. There will be changing goals. There will be challenges for funders. Funders are difficult for them to managing grants, and especially the timelines, because all these funders, they have projects which are time bound. And if they have to complete it within a specific time, then it is a big challenge, because many projects are on hold right now. Then with the restricted travels, restricted field work, budget cuts, it is very difficult to go for international collaborations, which is again a difficult part, because in last 10 years or so, you will see that publication has gone to a different level with different kind of collaborations. So it is very, very interesting to see that how it is going to change and it is going to impact with this collaboration part. So I would, before I conclude my presentation, I will just give you quickly few resources. This is a page which will tell you about some resources which are shared by all good publishers. They are trying to share the COVID related data, which they have. They have opened it. Springer has opened it since January, and it will be open till, I think, till this year end. And everybody who are working on these areas, they can actually go and they can check all these contents which are freely available from good publishers. We have taken another fantastic initiative, that is free access to 500 key textbooks, that because all these universities are closed right now and students are studying from home. So we have given access to 500 key textbooks from different areas. So again, you can go to the library section of springernature.com and you can see these textbooks which are available very easily. There's a source called The Source, which is a blog post, and very, very interesting blog post. I actually encourage you all to go to this blog post and read things, and you can even participate. You can give your thoughts, you can share your thoughts, you can write your columns. So this will be very helping in your career also, and you will get to learn many things over here. Thank you so much, for giving me this opportunity, taking time out to hear me. And if you have any questions relating to publication, if you have any questions relating to the impact, I will be very happy to talk to you on this. Please do ask your questions.
Thank you so much, sir. The talk was really interesting and motivating at the same time. We, the research scholars and also the faculty members, we are all looking forward to publications always. So, but sir, before taking others' questions, I have personally one question, that that you have mentioned the problem that we are facing, that either you publish or perish in one hand, and taking care of oneself on one hand. So in this scenario, do you think the content or the quality of publication can be compromised, or is there any possibility that people will just try to, because they are not able to generate much data for the experimental ones, I'm saying, or the project. So is there any possibility that the quality will get compromised?
I can tell you one thing, that I don't see because of stress the researchers are going to work badly. No, it's not. I have seen, I am working with researchers for so long. They are highly dedicated people. But definitely this is going to take a toll, because psychologically people are down. You can see in homes, you can see in the community. So it is very difficult to motivate yourself. It's a self-motivation period where you have to motivate yourself, work, and then at the same time, which is more important is, I think, is the data. The global data which is getting compromised is a big worry for me. Our review process which is getting compromised will be a big worry, because if you write a bad paper and it is reviewed well, it will never be published. So, it is like, so the review has to be good. The data has to be important, and that is why I said that it is a big stress on the reviewers, although they are also the part of the lockdown. But definitely it's a challenging time for everyone, and I see that, like, doctors are the front runners, we say, but definitely researchers who are working over here day and day night, they are also front runners. They are providing a lot of data to the people who are fighting that.
Mahendra sir, I have one just query.
Correct.
For your suggestion, first, we will select a journal, then we will start to write the manuscript, or first we write the manuscript, then we choose the journal, which is best?
Interesting question. You have to attend my scientific writing class now, and I will just tell you. See, it's very important because when I always say, when you write a paper first time, or whenever you are doing in n number of times, first thing is you draft a paper. When you draft a paper, the first thing which you write is about the methods and the results. People always get confused. They say we write the title, we write the summary, abstract. These are the things which are not written first. First thing you have to write the methods, and first thing you have to write the results, because you have an aim in your hand and you are doing certain experiments. When you are ready with this draft, then actually you should go and start selecting journals. Then you should look for a target audience or the readership. Then it will be much easier for you to match the scope of your work and scope of the journal, because all the good journals, they have aims and scope. So then it is easy for you, and at that point of time you can also see the information or the instructions given on the homepage, because that will actually tell you how many words for the title, how many words for the abstract, how discussion needs to be written, whether you have to pay for colored images. These are all information which are very important. Like for a COVID paper, if you are submitting a paper and you have in a hurry, and you don't see, okay, you have to pay $50 per image or some $100 per image for a journal, then it is extremely difficult for you to manage that amount, even if your paper get accepted at the end of the day, because you need that fund. So first thing, you cannot go and select a journal and write for that. First, you have to create the scope of your paper correctly. Then you can match the scope with the journal, and that is the best way to do it.
Yes, that's right. That's good. Yes.
Sir, we have a question from Dr. Shumi Mukhopadhyay. She's saying that she wants to know about your views on retraction of Lancet COVID data. Quality is becoming a big issue. Publication house have to be play a more important role here.
Yes, definitely. That is actually, I was telling you, it's not that the bad work of researchers. At times, it's on the data is something which gets compromised, and the quickness, it's the people are going for a race right now. I can tell you, if we are publishing like this, we have 50 million papers on COVID by the end of this year. Who is going to read 50 million papers? Yeah, I want to tell Dr. Bhattacharya that it is a very valid question, that stature of Lancet, we all see one of the best journals in the world. They are retracting because there are some compromises. The team has discussed later. They have already published it. Then they were thinking about the data. They thought, no, this data is not giving a correct. And that was also not actually found by them. Someone else as a whistleblower came and they talked about this. So this is the sorry part. This is the sad part, that we have to do retractions, because if someone, or especially in the world of medicine, that is a very, very sorry thing to do, because looking at these papers, there are so many advanced work has been done. Maybe people are working at the next level by reading these papers. So publication as a whole company, we are very, very responsible. We have to take responsibility. And she is very correct. Even if there is a small delay in the review, even if there is a small delay in publication, we should not be worried. We should be, looking for giving a better paper, a better document, a content which can help the community rather than. And this is the time where we have to really give the content which has to help the community.
Yes, sir. Dr. Momita Mukherjee is also talking about the similar things. She's saying that sometimes papers are published in a hurry. Could there be any problem in checking accuracy? For example, hydroxychloroquine. The paper published in US journal stated about using it, but now it is becoming a problem. The paper is demanding people who have taken the medicine are facing some more after effects. So that means the observation is just the reverse. So can you suggest?
Yes, see, there are many papers which are getting retracted in this situation, and that is what I said. It is very important that it is not the only responsibility of the authors. It is also the responsibility of the publishers. It is also the responsibility of the reviewers. So we have to give good time for the review. It is not, we are running against a time for a medicine and a vaccine, I can understand, but we cannot have a wrong medicine and create another disaster, so that is a big responsibility which is there with the people. Like I work in the areas of computational intelligence and artificial intelligence, and I'm working closely with people who are working on data science. And there are so many apps, there are so many applications which are out there, and I think they are not doing anything talking about AI at all. They are just talking about automation. They are automatic things which are happening, but AI has nothing to do with it. They are just including AI as a showcasing the whole paper. If we put AI, then it looks good, ornamental, and that is not the whole idea. The idea is to make things work so it helps. Otherwise we will not be able to. I said very categorically in my talk that global data which is getting compromised need to be rectified very quickly. If we are not getting global data, see, every country is now asking China to give the correct data. That is, if it is not possible to generate that data, then it is very difficult for us to fight a pandemic like this.
Professor Aparajita Bhattacharya has also asked similar questions, like if a huge number of papers are published within a short time, can quality be maintained? I think already you've answered this question.
Yeah, maintaining a quality is a big issue. And I can tell you, it's not that there are so many journals which are coming up. There are so many publishers. Predatory publishing is something which you should go back and see. They're all good authors from good universities, good institutes. They are falling into this trap. They are just publishing papers in journals which are not good. So they are also part of the content. If you go and see and you try to see this a whole database, now whatever is not good is also part of the content, and whatever is good is also part of the content. So it is a very big responsibility on the people like us, like good publishers, to at least see that the good content comes out and quality is not compromised at least at our level. I fully agree.
Yes, so that we can differentiate from good publishing house and the bad ones.
Yes, definitely.
And another question from Dr. Momita Mukherjee: while submitting a paper, should we concentrate on impact factor of the journal, or publishing good contents in a paper should be the focus? What is your view?
See, impact factor has created so much impact in the mind of people actually over a period of time. I can see. See, impact factor is just a small factor, ma'am. You don't have to see impact factor. These are all for basically for your promotions and API numbers and all. The most important thing which you have to see, that where your paper is going, either the readership of that paper is good, they are able to get something out of it. These are very important factors. Now, if you look at impact factor across different disciplines, like mathematics, physics, impact factor is so low. You go to engineering, it is such high. You go to biology, life sciences, it is much higher. You go to medicine, it is like, skyrocketing. The impact factor is something like 200 for a journal in cancer clinician journal is 2. So it is very important to understand that impact factor is very, very discipline oriented. Impact factor is something which is a dynamic data. Like I can give you an example. Suppose there are two journals, X and Y, they publish 50-50 papers. There are 100 papers, and only one paper out of that 100 paper has 100 citation. So as per the formula, 100 by 100, impact factor is 1 of the journal because of that one paper. Now next year that paper is not there, so impact factor of the journal is 0. So don't look at the impact factor at all. There are other factors which are more important. Firstly, the scope of your paper is more important. Readership is the more important thing. Who are reading, who are getting benefited. These things are more important, and you have to have a good selection of journal. So if you go to springernature.com, and you will find there is a tool, journal selector. You can use it and you can actually refer it to your students and everyone. That's a fantastic tool. There is a company called Edance, EDANZ. Edance is a company, they have developed it. They have their own tool, which is free, and they cover almost 32,000 journals all across good publishers. So you can go to Edance, that's a free tool. You can use that tool for selection of good journals. Very easy. Put the title, put the abstract, and look for a journal.
And we have another question from Dr. Shobut Ghosh. He's asking that why journals charge so much from researchers as well as readers when both researchers and reviewers are providing service for no charge at all to the publishing house.
See, we have to run our houses also. You know? If we don't charge, how this publication industry will work, and what will happen to our households? I was just kidding. You know, the important thing is, I know the reviewers are not charging anything, and reviewers are getting. But why do you review? You know, the most important thing I ask all the reviewers, and I have seen over the years, if you go and ask a reviewer, do you want to be paid? They said no. If you ask him, do you want any kind of free services from publications? They said, we have services. We have the papers, enough papers to read. We have enough books to read. We don't want any more tokens and publication tokens from you to read more. So they don't want it. They review because they want to improve their own knowledge. If you stop reviewing, you will stop gaining knowledge. You are stopping yourself over there itself. So a reviewer who is like, you know, that's a pillar, 3 pillars, it's a triangle. Author is the reader, and both of them are reviewers. So all these people are connected very heavily, but definitely there is a charge, there is because, you know, there are many other things which we do. We market the product. That is a very, very big thing which people don't understand. There is a huge number of marketing people who are working behind the curtain and taking this content to the correct readership. Because if you write a paper or if you write a book with us, you will understand that the highly focused books are going to the best readers. The moment the book is a generic one, it can actually go to a retailer shop, but it cannot work for the researchers. So research industry for books and journals, they work very in a definite pattern, in a definite way. And for maintaining that, we really need to pay our guys to work, you know, otherwise it will be very difficult to sustain.
Sir, we have a question from Dr. Shorkar. Professor Shorkar is saying that it is often said that better to contact editor to let him know the brief of the work before going for paper submission. So can you comment on that?
Yes, it's basically a fantastic thing. Usually, you know, it's a two-way communication. That is very important. I would like to tell Dr. Sarkar that, you know, when this whole thing of review started, it was like there was no blind reviews. Now we are talking about single blind, double blind and all. It was all open review. Paper used to come, paper used to be discussed. You know, if you go back and see all your physics conferences, people never used to publish anything in proceedings or any journals which is coming out of the conference. They used to come, they used to discuss, they have to discuss the paper thoroughly, and then they used to find the faults, they used to revise, and they will go back and they will publish on their own. Now there is a race, you know, every conference is coming out, they want to publish a proceeding, they want to have their publication showing over there. That is why, you know, so it is very, very good that you should actually have a two-way communication. If you have a brief ready, if you have an abstract ready, why not send it to the editor or the editorial board member? You know, you will, on journals, you will find so many people are there on the advisory board or editorial board. You will find people who are working in your area. You can go and have a communication with them. So this is a world of communication. You know, we are sitting in a world with a WhatsApp on our hand, you know, and we are not utilizing it properly. Why not go and talk? That is the best thing to do. So more you communicate with people who are on the board, who are with the journal, with the editorship of the book, that really helps. That really helps. I fully agree with Dr. Sarkar that this sort of communication going with the brief of the work, that really helps with the improvement of the work.
But sir, is it then really blind process?
Yes, you know, it started in it started with a single blind in 1960s, where the reviewer knows who is the author and author is not aware who is the reviewer. In 1973, female scientists in US, they came with a question to the board that there are partiality is going on and all the papers coming from female scientists are getting rejected. They have done an investigation for 1 year and they found this is to be true. Unfortunate, but this was true. So they started with a double blind, and these, I will tell you, I was handling journals, in 2015, I was sitting in an academic editorial board meeting, and one of the members, I think his paper he's an editorial board member, but his paper got rejected. So he said to me, stop this blind things, and have an open discussion. So, everybody has a different opinion about it, how to go for it. But I still feel that open discussion is more important, because if with a blind thing also, at times the reviewer is not doing justice to the paper. So a good review is very important than a good paper written well. I feel that a good reviewer is always able to find good points where a paper can be improved.
Sir, we have another question from Professor Aparajita Bhattacharya. She's saying that the journals who are taking publication charges are not that good. That is what many people believe. So, is that true?
See, straightly, if I have to answer her, it's a no. No, it's not true. Because the word unpaid and paid journals, this is actually misunderstood. Paid journals are like, you have to see which are the predatory journals. There's a BL's journals list. If you go back and see, BL is the guy who has created this journal list of predatory journals. And there are many good journals. They are open access journals. They are paid journals, because open access mode is basically author pay mode. So author has to pay. So journal has to take money, So these paid journals where review is very stringent, and they are not bad journals. But unfortunately, we have categorized it into an unpaid and paid version. And that is actually a misleading thing, which is actually confusing many people, because it says in our UGC policy that you don't go for paid journals which are not good, but there are many paid journals which are good.
Time it is misunderstood, I think so.
I didn't get you said the question.
Most of the time, the thing is misunderstood.
Yes, ma'am. Most of the time, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
If you pay for the journal, then it is not good. It is the general.
I think it's it's about the access. If it is open access, then it is usually paid.
Yes, definitely. If it is an open access, then the publisher is not actually getting anything from the readers. So we have to get it from the author. Now, author has to get it from his grant or from some funder. So it is someone has to pay to make it published. The whole idea is that. So if you go to good journals with good publishers, which are open access, they are good journals. It's not, but it is misunderstood as a paid and unpaid thing. That is the problem, actually.
Sir, we have another question from Mr. Janmajay Banerjee. He's asking which one is more valuable, publication in ordinary journal with high citations for my article, or publication in indexed journal with less or no citation?
See, the clear objective of your work is to get cited. If your work is not cited, that means it's not, nobody is reading, only the reviewer has read it. So you are publishing your work so that it is read by many people, and when people will read it, then only it will be, citation will come. But there are some unfortunate cases, even in good journals also, paper gets published but never cited, and there are cases where a very small journal, but maybe that is a small journal, but they have a good readership. Maybe they are targeting the journal to the correct readership. That is why you are getting citations. So it is very important to see at times where the journal is actually taking your paper. You have to understand that there are many, you will get many riders when you go to the homepage of the journal, when you read the papers in that journal. See, we talk about all these journals, like 50,000 journals, 60,000 journals are there. But actually, if you go back and see how many good journals are there in your own area, it's like 8 to 10, maybe not more than that. So if you just stick to those good journals, definitely it's a big grilling when you give your papers to them. Maybe you are getting rejections, but be stern with your answers. Go back and talk to the reviewers. Resubmit again and ask the reviewer very straightly, what is the problem with my paper? So it's always good to have citations. Without citations, I don't see there is any progress of the work, actually.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I think we had a lot of questions and very interesting discussions. So now I would like to ask Momita De ma'am to conclude the webinar.
Okay, thank you, Shatarupa. So first of all, my heartiest gratitude to all the speakers, to both of them, Professor Fukan and Mr. Anindo Bose, for their wonderful lectures. It is always good to be a part of those academic endeavors, and I really thank you, sir, from the bottom of my heart that you people agreed to be a part of this. But before ending, let me summarize their talks. Professor Fukan enlightened the speaker, actually the audience, with the importance of CT imaging and diagnostics COVID-19. He elaborated different portions of CT lungs like city lungs and images that specifically indicating the sign of the disease. So he mentioned the role of AI in fast and accurate diagnosis of COVID-19. It's really a matter of concern today that this asymptomatic cases are increasing silently and they're spreading in the background. So thus identification of this population with the CT image study is very important to identify the affected asymptomatic population and to isolate them to reduce the spreading rate. So the presentation was very lucid, sir. Thank you very much for illuminating us with those ideas. And then I must thank our next speaker, Mr. Anindo Bose, because being a member of our scientific community, we are always obsessed with publication. But probably he shed light today into another part, which were not our concern very much. We always get busy with our work, our publication. So what is the total scenario now? We get to understand that. And I always feel that it's not about COVID scenario. Being a member of scientific fraternity, we all must be responsible for what we are writing, for what we are, because sometimes it may happen that the paper gets published. It may happen so, but then the retraction happens also. This is very unfortunate. Nobody wants to get such things. So I think the responsibility lies within the speaker, within the reviewer, of course, and within the publishing house. So all the three persons, because in this particularly this COVID-19 scenario, so many changes are happening nowadays. Classroom methodologies are changing. There is a digital learning process. The examination patterns, maybe, I don't know. Nobody knows that what will happen. We all are in a perplexed scenario. We all are trying to get hold of this situation, that what will happen. And publications are increasing the number. The numbers are increasing rapidly. So there is a quality control, quality issues, I think. But I think if the authors are responsible enough regarding their publication and the reviewers are serious enough, so this will not be a very much serious issue finally. We all must be responsible, and most importantly about the data crisis that he was talking about, it is a global scenario right now. So I hope there must be a silver lining and we will get over this scenario, get over this situation. So thank you so much, sir, for shedding light on those particular aspects which were not usually discussed in our meetings and academic things. So I want to thank each and everyone, all the participants, that without your participation, this meeting wouldn't be a success. And finally, I want to thank Dr. Momita Mukherjee, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, for taking this initiative and organizing this webinar. I must thank Dr. Shatrupa Bishas for coordinating this entire event. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Momita De. We have some more questions, so I would request the participants I will send a feedback form to all the participants. So if you can put up the questions there, because we are already late, running out of time. So we will take up the questions from there and ask the speakers, and we will reply from there. So we will end this webinar here. Thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm ending the program.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.